Welcome to the Luna Syncrasy podcast, where we honor our cycles and the magic of the moon.
Welcome back to the Luna Syncrasy podcast.
Today is going to be a little bit different because it's just me on the podcast today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about HRV and how it's lower in the second half of the cycle, which proves that our body is more stressed and that we should be doing different things in the first half and second half of the cycle because our body is truly acting differently. I had a lot of questions about this after our last couple of episodes, and so I figured I would release the audio from a video that I did for my community over at Flow Into Health. So let's get to the clip. Hope you enjoy it.
I want to talk a little bit about how our energy fluctuates through our menstrual cycle. I think we live in a society, it's very masculine driven, where we're expected to do the same thing every single day. So get up, work, do things at home, go to bed every single day. Make sure you work out while you're doing it. But that's not the way a woman's energy works. Sometimes we have a lot of that energy and we can keep going and we can do all the things all the time. But at other times, we really need to take a rest. Within our bodies, our hormones are really like keeping us less energized, and we're not able to do all of the things. It's actually stressing us out. It's increasing our cortisol levels, and it's increasing the stress in our body. And it's hurting our health because we're trying to force this when our body is not ready. So by harnessing the actual cycles of our energy, we can really not only improve our health and the way we feel, but we can actually get more done because we won't be stressing our body out so much when we're not supposed to be doing things. And so we can do more when we have the energy. So really, the whole point of this video is I want us to be able to learn how to harness our energy and just create a very balanced life. So I recently read the book Patriarchy Stress Disorder by Valerie Rein. It was so good. There were so many moments of like, aha, I get it. And I highly recommend the book. But as a general summary, the idea is that as women, we're living in this society where we're expected to continue to use our energy all the time and be doing things all of the time. And in order for us to fit into society and be successful, we really end up with this chronic high stress of like, I have to do all the things. There's no stopping. There's no rest. Have you ever tried to just sit and do nothing? And like, is there a voice in the back of your head? I should be doing more. There's more for me to do. Oh my gosh, all my kids' toys are over there. I need to go pick them up. Like, that's just the way that our society has kind of ingrained into us that we need to do everything. And so it creates this workaholism. And we're trying to be more like men, but we're not. And our bodies are not made the same way. So by trying to fit into this, yes, we can become successful. But we can also end up with sleep problems, weight gain. Have you heard of like adrenal fatigue? Also, I know of so many women with thyroid problems. We can have anxiety, depression, and even addiction. So how many times are you just so stressed out and it's like, I need to have a drink. I need a glass of wine. Oh my gosh, you had this stressful day. Here, have a glass of wine. You deserve it. And like, that is such a piece of our society that's just ingrained in us. Like, these are the ways to relax, not by actually taking things easy. By doing this, we're really leaving behind who we are. So we're trying to be plunked into this society. We're trying to fit ourselves in there, but that's not who we are. And we need to celebrate our natural flow of energy. So in the first half of our cycle, we do have more energy. And in the second half, we just don't. And that's okay. And we just need to be able to use that. And so I keep talking about how energy is different in the first half and second half of the cycle. And there's a way to prove it. You can prove this to yourself. You don't even have to just take my word for it. But you can use your heart rate variability, or HRV. So the HRV is the difference in your heart rate between each breath. And so I remember being in junior high, and we were in gym class and we had to take our heart rate. And I noticed that as I breathed in, my heart rate was a little bit faster, and then when I breathed out, it was much slower. And so that is an indication of a higher HRV. Is if you can actually notice that, then your heart rate is changing based on what's going on inside of your body. And so the way I measure my HRV is with my Oura Ring. I love my Oura Ring, highly recommend it. You can also do it with a Fitbit. You can with the Apple Watch. They may not use it quite as much as the Oura Ring. With the Oura Ring, it tells you what you were overnight and gives you some recommendations based on that, which I really love. And that is exactly how I was like, oh my gosh, why is my Oura Ring telling me that I need to take it easy today? I feel fine. And it would tell me that for like 2 weeks at a time. And it's totally just because in the second half of my cycle, my body is not the same as in the first half of the cycle. So if it's true that your body is less stressed out in the first half of your cycle, and so that would be from the time you get your period until the time you ovulate. And then after ovulation, all of a sudden the hormones just kind of drop down and your body becomes more stressed out. What can we do differently? And so really, for me, things like coffee and fasting and heavy workouts, these are things that our society says are good for us all the time. Like, oh yeah, fasting, intermittent fasting, that's the brand new thing, right? Or we should be working out at least 3-4 days a week. And if you're only going to be working out for 20 minutes at a time, make sure you're basically on the floor out of breath. But these things are stressing our body out. And so we can totally handle that in the first half when our HRV is higher. But in the second half of our cycle, when our HRV is lower, this is just going to be causing stress and like builds up the stress and makes us more and more tired. And so what I like to do is I'll use normal coffee in the first half of my cycle, and I switch over to either decaf or a mushroom coffee or just nothing in the morning. For intermittent fasting, absolutely. Beginning of the cycle, I will if my body feels up to it. Second half, no, I wake up and I eat. And I know that our metabolism is even higher in the second half of our cycle. And so we need more food, and our body is looking for more food. Our body doesn't know if we're pregnant yet. And so it is making sure that it's going to take care of that possible fetus. And that is why we have this difference. Then there's like the whole menstrual phase. So that is a little bit different. So it's going to depend, so technically when we have our period, that's at the beginning of your cycle. And if you look at your HRV, you might notice that it's the highest it is in the entire cycle. And that's just because our hormones are low. And it's still a really good time to take it easy, just because our hormones are low and because of the way we're feeling. You might see your HRV, and if you have the Oura Ring, it's going to say like, oh yeah, you're ready to go, like heavy workouts, go for a fast run. But realistically, you can do that if you feel up for it and if it's what you want to do. But I feel like most women, when you actually feel into your body, we're looking for a time of rest then. That is the time to really do nothing for a day or two. And so just kind of play with it. What I have kind of fallen into is that for the first day or two of my cycle, I like to really take it easy. And I assume it's probably the highest 2 days of my HRV. And I take that as like my body is recovering and I am healing from any of the stress from my luteal phase from the second half and the stressful time. And this is just kind of like I'm going to recoup and I'm going to be able to come back better than ever. So let's talk a little bit more about that lowered HRV phase in the second half of our cycle, or the luteal phase of our menstrual cycle. So because our HRV is lower, that's a sign that our body is under stress. And we can really just do the same things that are going to help increase HRV as we would like. Those are just things that are going to create some rest and create restoration and just help us. And the more that we can do in that phase, the better our energy is going to be for the rest of the cycle. So things like eating properly, eating regularly, making sure we're not going out for fast food every day, reducing the amount of alcohol we're drinking, making sure we're sleeping. Our body is not going to be able to sleep as well, so you might need to be in bed for a little bit longer in the second half of your cycle. Like you're just not getting the same amount of restorative sleep in the second half. I like to go for more walks and be outside and just kind of take that time for myself to relax and just de-stress my body. I also take extra magnesium. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to take magnesium. I would definitely recommend talking to your doctor before starting any supplements. But for me, I was always getting leg cramps in the second half of my cycle. Like I would be woken up maybe every other day. And once I started taking some magnesium for that, as recommended by my doctor, the leg cramps went away. I was able to sleep better. And what I found was that in the second half of my cycle, I did need to increase the amount of magnesium I was taking to avoid those leg cramps. So that's something to think about too. And that's that's going to just increase your energy if you are deficient in magnesium. And so I just want to stress that when we take more rest and we're good to our body in the second half of our cycle, we're able to do so much more in the first half. And so you might be thinking like, I'm doing less, I can't do this. Like this is not possible for me. But what you're going to find is that by taking care of your body and really doing the things that it needs, eventually the amount of energy that you have in that first half of the cycle is just going to skyrocket. You're going to have so much more time, so much more energy. When you decide you're going to do something, it's just like you are going to get it done. And so you're going to get the same amount of things done, but your body is going to feel so much better and you're not going to pass out at the end of the day. So one thing that had happened to me is that when my kids were young and I'm just trying to get all of these things done all of the time, what I found was like, I would be putting to bed my 3-4-year-old and I'm falling asleep before he would. And I'm just exhausted by the end of the day. My body just felt like it was not able to keep going. And I'm thinking like, I'm doing all the things. I'm working out. I am eating well. I'm getting enough sleep. Like, why am I so tired? And it's just because I kept going all day long, all the time. I'm going to the doctor and I told them, something has to be wrong with me. Like, check everything. And like, no, you're fine. This is just what growing up, like getting older, this is normal for getting older. I'm like, I needed to find another way. And once I realized that I could use my cycle to really manage my energy, everything changed. And so now by the end of the night, and I can put my kids to sleep, and then I still have time for myself, like whether that is watching a movie with my husband or even just reading, just getting things done that I want to do. So I have that energy because in the second half of my cycle, I am really taking care of myself so much more. And so that's what I want for you, for everybody, honestly. Like I just see in our society, we are all expected to do so many things all of the time, and it's stressing us out. And how many moms do you know that just can't hang out with their friends? Like once they become parents, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I just don't have the time. I don't have the energy. And who can blame them when they're trying to do all of the things all of the time? And we've all been there. I've been there. I've 100% been there. So I'm not judging anything. If we're using our energy within our cycle, things can change. And by looking at our natural rhythms, our natural energy of like, it's high and then it drops down in the second half, like just knowing that, just using that, it just changed my life. And
So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.